Hi, I'm Paul Michaels. We're doing another Nerd Supernova podcast. Today, we're going to be going mostly into just the pop culture aspect of the best movies that we felt of 2015. But today, I am joined by my friend Dan Seversky, who is a fellow movie buff. We have our regular co-host KJ in the background as audience member.
What's up?
And our roommate Tom Esco, who's been in one or two of the podcasts, I believe, in the background as well. Tom, can you?
He's absolutely right.
Yes, Tom. I have no idea what's going on right now. Okay. Anyway, this podcast will just be the top 10 favorite movies from myself and from Dan Seversky, and just how we felt about them, what we thought was good. I'm going to say right off the bat, before we get started, there's 3 movies that I wanted to see this year that I felt would have made my list, but I have yet to actually see them, and it is Bridge of Spies by Steven Spielberg.
Documentary of Jenna Jameson?
No. Straight Outta Compton, and Ex Machina, which I've heard were all very good movies in their own
I
right.
heard a robot shows up at the end and saves everybody.
I don't know.
Yeah, mine, I would say the 2 that definitely come to my head would be Creed.
Creed that you missed. These are films that you missed. Okay.
Yeah, I missed Creed, and I wish this was on my list. And Spotlight.
Spotlight. Yeah, I didn't see Spotlight either. I definitely should probably check out that one though too, to say the least. Okay, well let's start at number 10. Dan, I'll have you go first. What is your top 10 pick for the year?
Okay, so my top 10 choice is Kingsman: The Secret Service. Now, originally it was The Gift, but then I realized that I saw Kingsman earlier and thought, you know what, this one deserves to be on the list because this is a film that the more I saw it, the more I liked it. And the moment I heard that Matthew Vaughn was doing another film and that him and Mark Miller were going to be reteaming for another project, I was just thinking, hey, you could have just told me that Mark Miller's doing another movie and I would have seen it anyway. And you have this actor, Taron Egerton, who was pretty much one of the biggest breakthroughs of 2015, and he has to hold his own ground with Colin Firth, Samuel Jackson, Mark Strong, and Michael Caine. Any one of those would just be hard to do in general, but knowing that this kid holds his own ground with all 4 of them, that's impressive, and I can't wait to see more of this kid in the future.
Yeah. I agree with all those points. I want to go more into it myself. It's also on my list, but it's a little bit higher. I'll get more on that later, though. But basically, yeah. Sorry. Cool.
Yeah, I would say that Sam Jackson was probably one of the best villains as Valentine for 2015. And the reason I say that was because even though he used a lisp, I heard that what's his name? Matthew Vaughn said that, he didn't like it, but he decided to use it anyway because as growing up, Sam Jackson actually did have a speech impediment.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he stuttered a lot when he was a kid. And the thing he said was that the reason why he used this was so that his enemies would underestimate him and that he would come out as being, more of a threat than he actually would. And it was one of those films where its tone, you can definitely tell that it's a Matthew Vaughn film just by the way that it's shot and it's colored. Basically, the film is essentially if Quentin Tarantino directed a James Bond movie.
In a sense, yeah. Again, I want to go more into it.
Ezekiel? 25.
Ezekiel 25. But yeah, I enjoyed the film a lot.
He's actually the best villain because he feeds all of the good guys McDonald's and clogs all their arteries so they can't defeat him.
He's pretty much if Steve Jobs was a Bond villain.
In a
I'm pretty
sense.
sure Steve Jobs would not feed the people
Steve,
at his...
Steve Jobs
I'm a multi-billion-dollar person. Here's Big Macs.
Alright, so the point being is that it's definitely the fact that it takes a lot of from the old James Bond movies, which I definitely liked. Again,
I have to say I'm sorry to interrupt. I did like him when after the whole church scene and he comes out, he's like, "Oh, this is the part where I monologue and everything," and just shoots him in the head. That part, I was like, "Fuck yeah! All right, cool."
Oh yeah. By the way, probably should mention that any of these movies we're discussing are probably going to have spoilers, so just letting you guys know ahead of time. Anyway,
it's 2016. The movie came out in.
I didn't say who he shot.
Yeah, the movie
true.
came out in February. At this point, you should have seen it by now. That's not my problem. It's your problem.
Okay, fair enough. I will go more into Kingsman myself when I get to my number. And again, we'll get. I felt Kingsman would have been lower on my list, but I actually had to rework a few things because, yeah, to be honest, I felt there could have been a lot more impressive movies this year. I kind of felt it was a bit underwhelming to some degree, but I still feel there were a lot of good gems this year.
I felt like it started off that way, but it started to pick up more.
Yeah. So that being said, this wasn't originally on my top 10, but I kind of had to move it in there because I thought I was going to see a lot more movies this year, and I ended up not seeing. So I kind of needed to fill the list. But this was a good film in its own right, but really it stands out more to do with the main performance, which was Johnny Depp in Black Mass. Black Mass being number 10. I want to say, as far as rise and fall films go, I wouldn't say it's by the number. It definitely tries a few different things, but for me, it was a good character piece. I liked it as a character piece. It felt authentic. It felt like it was in the Boston area. It felt like Whitey Bulger felt like a real person, not just like another character piece in a silly hat done by Johnny Depp. Like you felt that he cared about this character being done right.
He even said that it was his favorite role that he's ever done.
Oh, really?
That's
I didn't know
good.
that.
Johnny Depp actually acting instead of Tim Burtoning.
Yeah.
Like,
But then we would have to wait for Alice and the
Looking Glass. Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Alice
But
shit
wait, is
fest.
Helena Bonham Carter in it?
Yeah.
probably.
Is she?
Okay, so the fact is that Black Mask I felt was really good in the sense that it was a decent rise and fall film. It accentuated Johnny Depp being a good actor, and it's worth recognition if anything to at least take a look at. And again, it wasn't originally in my top 10, but because I haven't seen a lot of films or more than I wanted, I've seen a lot less than I wanted to see this year. But still, good movie. Definitely worth checking out. Definitely go see Black Mass for sure.
I would say that for Black Mass, I really wanted this to be in my top 10. I just felt like there were, and I do love this movie, but I just felt like there were a lot of parts that were a little underwhelming.
Mhm.
Like, for instance, the majority of all the characters, they're all antagonists. So it's really hard to root for anybody, and I felt like I was hoping, like, for movies like The Departed, it had like a huge like a huge break for that. Like it was building up for something. The Town has incredible build up, and it delivers. Black Mass, I was hoping it would do somewhat of the same thing, but I felt like I was expecting too much. But I feel like it was more on a realistic level, and like didn't want to glorify this human being.
Yeah, to some degree, they go more into the fact that Whitey Bulger is a psychopath. At the same time, they just make it as sort of this is just their everyday
Or is
life.
he a visionary?
I don't think he's a visionary, no.
My man!
Good lord. Okay, let's go to number 9. What was your number 9 film of the year, Dan?
My number 9 choice was Ex Machina. And again, this is another film, the more I watch it, the more I love it.
You just like sex robots.
I do love fembots. That's what a lot of people thought that this was essentially a fembot, but what it really is, the reason why I love it so much is
Fembot
that,
Terminator.
yeah, it's not a sequel, it's not a remake, it's not based off any existing property, it's just pure originality, and I friggin' love that. And it also has my favorite quote, like, for instance, the performances, Alicia Vikander as Ava, any aspiring director who wants to pull off CG correct, watch Ex Machina and see how Ava is pulled off. It's one of the best CG effects I've ever seen in my entire life. Don't know.
Wait, she's not real?
No, that is a real actress.
I'm just talking like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just the
they put,
robot
like,
parts.
green screen stuff all over her, and like part of the suit is practical and part of it is CG. And Domhnall Gleeson as Caleb. This was another breakout.
Does she ever hook
performance.
up with Andy Serkis?
Andy Serkis isn't in it,
I'm joking again with somebody.
but you haven't seen it, have you?
No, I haven't. So please try not to tell me too much.
No, I
but
won't
okay,
spoil it. The one who's
what
the
was?
best-
Yeah, I was gonna say like what's the best part? Is it Oscar Isaac?
He
Okay.
is because he says probably my favorite line of 2015, and I have it right here. He says, "One day the AIs are going to look back at us the same way we look at fossil skeletons on the plains of Africa, an upright ape living in dust with crude language and tools all set for extinction." And that was something that really fazed me as I was watching that because I thought to myself, oh shit, that actually would probably happen. Like, knowing our extinction would be like caused by something like.
And then Neo and Morpheus show up, and we're all saved.
No, that would be the mind. That's what the demographic would hope for. But what this is, it's a bit of everything. It's a sci-fi. It's a thriller. It's a romance. It's a mystery. It's a perspective movie where you have to look at it through different perspectives, seeing how Ava looks through things, how Caleb looks through things, how Nathan looks at things. It's just one of those films where, and also the guy who directed it also wrote 28 Days Later, and this was his
Alex Garland actually wrote and directed it.
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of 28 months later,
28 weeks later.
I know, but 28 months later is apparently the next sequel. Is that happening? Anybody heard about that?
I have no idea. I think it might have been 28.
They did 28 days, 28 weeks. The next one is supposed to be 28 months.
Well, the guy who directed this was his directorial debut. He also wrote Sunset.
Sunset and Judge Dredd and a bunch of others. Yeah, he's a cool dude, to say the least.
I would highly recommend anyone who's like into, especially indie films and sci-fi films. I think you would appreciate the hell out of Ex Machina.
Yeah, I mean to watch. I just haven't had the time to go see it yet, but I will see it soon, hopefully. Again, I'm sorry I hadn't seen it before this podcast. That being said, my number 9 pick is, again, it's not like the best movie ever, but it was just a pinnacle as far as visually, and what's on the screen is amazing. Is The Age of Ultron. To be honest, it's not really like an amazing movie. At least for me, it's basically. I know you enjoyed it more than I did, but basically it's basically just Avengers filler. It's basically waiting around to see Thanos show up.
Well,
that being said,
every other Marvel film that's come out.
but more towards the Avengers.
Origin movies are waiting for Thanos to show up. They're origin movies.
Okay,
Exactly.
but to be fair, a lot of other critics have made good points. Like it does do some things better than the first Avengers in the fact that like it does get more into the main characters. We get to see them more as not so much people coming together, but as them actually hanging out, them being friends, them exchanging conversations. The party scene is a really, really good Avengers scene. I mean, it has, if anything else, it has the best Stan Lee cameo in all of.
Bullshit! No.
I'm sorry, it does.
That is not the best Stan Lee cameo.
What is the best Stan Lee cameo to you?
Best Stan Lee cameo, I hate to say it, is in Amazing Spider-Man when he is the librarian with the headphones on. That's my favorite Stan Lee cameo.
Okay, that is a great statement.
It's a good cameo.
It's fantastic.
But I'm sorry.
He doesn't have any lines. He's not doing anything. He's just there, unaware of what's happening. That is the best Stan Lee cameo because it's a cameo.
You did make a good point with that, but I'd have to say that the Age of Ultron one definitely had me laughing my ass off.
The other one I like is him as Hugh Hefner.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also hate to say it. The one from Hulk is him, the security guard. Either that, or I also think the one from Winter Soldier. Oh, I am so fired.
Yeah.
That one is a good one.
Or from Guardians.
Or Guardian, him stuck in like the case.
No, where he's like flirting with that alien woman. Like, look at this guy, Mr. Swab.
The other one is from
Agent Carter.
No,
I haven't seen the Agent Carter.
no. The other one I really liked was from Rise of the Silver Surfer when he's playing Stan Lee at the wedding.
Oh yeah, and they won't let him in.
It's fucked up being Stan Lee showing up to his fictional character's wedding, but still, it's Stan Lee being like, "I'm Stan Lee. Oh, you're not on the guest list, but I'm Stan Lee." And like they're like, "Nope, sorry, you can't come in." But I'm Stan Lee. And they're like, "Nope."
At first,
And
I
he gets
thought that
turned away.
was funny, but the more I watch it, I feel like.
But seriously,
Okay. To be fair,
Age of Ultron.
then again, yeah, sure. Like
the reason why I like it is that he drinks one with Thor, and then he says his catchphrase, and he says it drunk. That's why I think it's so funny. Excelsior. That's why I think it's one of the best. I agree with your points, though. I definitely think those are solid cameos, to say the least, of
I don't
anything.
think he's
I
ever
mean,
had a bad cameo.
there's been bad ones. I mean,
Yeah.
any like the original Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, where all he does is like
Save kids,
save
basically.
kids. Although, actually, now that it comes to mind,
Amazing Spider-Man 2
the
was
best Stan Lee cameo is Mallrats.
okay.
Okay.
Not technically a Marvel movie, but you've all seen.
I
Mallrats.
always liked
Kevin-
Princess
Kevin
Diaries too.
Kevin Smith Mallrats, where he's
Yeah.
just like, oh, like he's like, your friend's really obsessed with like superhero genitalia. Like,
He's like, yeah,
like,
no, I know. It's
I also remember he had a great cameo on The Big Bang Theory where Sheldon wanted to.
I don't watch Big Bang Theory.
It's like
yeah, we don't watch the Big Bang.
Stanley,
Anyway,
it's like,
sorry to
ah,
interrupt. You guys
crap.
continue.
Anyway, go ahead. Age of Ultron.
Anyway, as a film, as Age of Ultron, it's filler, but there's a lot of good in it that I like. It does push the characters a little forward, not as forward as I would have liked to have seen them, but they're saving that, I assume, for Infinity War. That being said, I feel that it does tap into a lot of who they are as people and characters along this big adventure that you have to see them go along and saving a giant, village comet from destroying the world. I don't know. But that being said, it's a fun movie. It's filler, but
You gotta watch it more than once to like really appreciate it.
yeah, if we had seen
Spoilers! Everyone dies.
if we had
It's all
seen,
a dream sequence.
if we had seen this movie like even 10 years ago, we wouldn't have believed that something like this could have existed in the sense of like seeing the characters from Marvel being done in this way. Like, so on that level, I like Age of Ultron. What is your number 8 pick, Dan?
Okay, so my number 8 pick is Straight Outta Compton. Now, this was one of the biggest surprises for me of 2015 because also,
Because you're white?
yes, because, well,
Sorry. No, I'm just joking.
as an African American child growing up in the hood, I always listened to, well,
Hey, dude,
Not just
I listened to
NWA.
that stuff back in the day.
Oh.
I'm fucking paler than Casper. So,
well,
like,
We're
Music,
so
mu-
gonna get
music.
sued.
the music, the three rappers I listened to Eminem, Jay-Z, and DMX. That was the kind of music that I grew up like, that kind of style rap, and I feel like nowadays it has been losing its touch. This movie, it reminded me how good rap can be. It was one of those films when
back when,
when
like, all
Straight
music...
Outta Compton came on, when Eazy-E's Cruising Down the Street in My 6 came out, I'm like, I'm just jamming out in the middle of the theater. It was actually one of the first films I've seen where they actually sneak in By Felicia. There's a
Well, my thing is
And,
that...
Well,
sorry,
hold on. They're sneaking in the By Felicia because the guy who directed Friday is directing this film. That's why.
F. Gary Grant directed Friday.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, he's going to be directing the next Fast and Furious movie, I know. But the performances, Corey Hawkins as Dr. Dre. First time I saw him, I was like, I don't know if I can see him as Dr. Dre. Then I saw him, a few scenes later where he's wearing the leather coat, his iconic one, where I was like, you know what? Now I see him as Dre. O'Shea Jackson Jr. as Ice Cube. He's playing his father. And I thought to myself, that's going to be one of the
Weirdest things ever
I
on
forgot
the
what the
set.
actor's name was, but the guy who played Eazy-E, hands down, stole the show.
Hmm.
Another breakout performance. This was like one of... Paul Giamatti was great in it.
Paul Giamatti is almost always good, except Amazing Spider-Man 2, where he was just allowed to do whatever the hell he wanted, and that was a
I
horrible
don't think
ride.
you read the script before you,
I don't think anybody read the script
No,
in that
he was
movie.
more like, I'm in this movie
Maybe
for
he did, and then just said, like, fuck the script, I'm just gonna, like...
No, he was like, I'm in this movie for how long? Okay, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. But,
All right, but okay. So Paul Giamatti was awesome, and then
yeah,
who else?
he was one of those characters where he played their manager, but you know how in like music biopics, the manager is kind of like a scumbag, or
Yep.
well, in this, Eazy-E kind of sees him as a scumbag because there's certain things that's not going on, and you like in most movies, you just see them just corrupt for just shits and giggles. With Paul Giamatti's character, he's like, dude, I'm just trying to do my job here. I have a home. I gotta make sure that everything's fine because he's an actual human being. The songs in it are
He's
fantastic.
not a robot?
No, he's not a robot.
Oh.
Oh
Crazy.
my God, what? And again, it's another perspective movie where you think, oh, this movie's about Eazy-E. Oh wait, no, this movie's about Dr. Dre. Oh wait, no, it's about Ice Cube. Question is, who is this movie about? It all depends on where you stand because all three of those guys are the main characters. And yeah, DJ Yella and MC Ren are also in the film as well. But it's
Kylo Ren's in it?
No, MC Ren.
Oh, okay.
Jesus. But yeah, you look at it and you can depict it where you think, oh, well, I think Eazy-E is the main character, and you're like, all right, that is your opinion, and I fully agree to that. Some things, I didn't agree to, or I know that they just came out with a director's cut for it, but I feel like they left some stuff out, especially
I know the director's cut is supposed to be like half an hour longer. I know that. For sure.
Which would make this a 3-hour biopic, because the movie is 2.5 hours. By the third act, it was, holy shit, this is a long movie. And I was like, I gotta use the bathroom, but I don't want to miss anything important.
Well, that's
you
good.
know a movie is doing a good job when it keeps you that invested.
Yeah.
And, it's easily one of the best biopics I've ever seen, but you can tell that they left some stuff out, especially this was Dr. Dre and Ice Cube's decision, because I don't think they wanted to come off too bad. And there were probably some scenes there where I was watching, I was like, but did that really happen? I don't think this scene is a spoiler. May I say what it is?
If you don't feel it's a spoiler, you can say it. I mean,
Okay.
Well, we're doing spoilers here anyway, but again, I haven't seen the film, so.
Okay, so there's one scene where the group is having a party in a hotel room, and there's like some kind of weird orgy going on, and they hear a knocking on the door, and this is where By Felicia comes in, because the character's name in the movie is Felicia, and Eazy comes out, it's like, what's going on? It's like, yeah, I'm looking for Felicia, and he just says some crude comment. It's like, the fuck you just say? And him and the group come out with AKs. They're like, oh, you want to talk? And then they just run away. I was like, did that really happen though? And then they lock her out, and you just hear, bye Felicia, and everyone in the theater just starts laughing their asses off. It's just
Good scene. Sounds like a good scene.
The point of the scene is not because it's funny. It just gets me questioning, did Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, and the rest of the gang come out with AKs in the middle of a hotel lobby just to get two guys away from them?
Maybe.
Because they're in the Matrix.
Well, maybe, but that's for another story. But the point is, how could anyone get away with that? Like, I don't know if that was made for dramatic effect or if that really did happen, but that's probably for another time.
Another time. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've heard great things about the movie. I'll be interested to see it myself. I honestly can't wait.
Yeah.
Number 8.
It just came out on DVD recently.
No, I know, and I will get it the second. Or either I'll buy it or I'll watch it online and then I'll go from there. But I definitely want to check out the movie, to say the least.
Right.
So I'm trying to wrap this. I'm trying to get this going, because if we keep going at this rate, we're going to have like a 3-hour podcast, and I want to try to avoid it if we can. just for our listeners back home, if there's any.
We got some dedication.
Yeah. Number 8 is for me is Crimson Peak.
I haven't seen Crimson Peak.
Not a lot of people saw Crimson Peak, and I love Guillermo del Toro. This is one of his newest movies, and to be honest, it's a great film in the sense of it does gothic horror so well in a modern film. Gothic horror hasn't really been done this well since like the 50s. It's really good. It's horror, but it's done in a old Victorian era setting. There's massive amounts of blood, and at the same time, it's hard to really say the fact of, like, I mean, it's definitely not something that you could show your children. That's for sure. But it's not like on the same level as like Nightmare on Elm Street. It's not like that. At the same time, it is gory, but it's this own like it's very much in the sense of
Guillermo del Toro.
Well, Guillermo del Toro, but in the sense of like how he gets the idea that the British culture is that they're very reserved, and it's hiding a lot of passion behind themselves, as well as a lot of a hard emotion, and that comes out in blood and in revenge and everything else in this movie. It's very well done. The sets and just the house that they go into, which is called Crimson Peak, it's just great.
How would you say it ranks between all his other films? I'd
say it's definitely up there with some of his best. I mean, I wouldn't say it's maybe like Pan's Labyrinth amazing, but it's definitely worth checking out. It's really well done.
On a horror movie scale,
I mean, this is the thing.
Is it more artsy or is it more horror?
I would say it's more artsy, but it's good. It's good horror though. That's the thing.
Like suspenseful, or
it's more suspenseful. I mean, you're waiting for something crazy to happen.
Well, you know me in horror movies.
Yeah, but it's more like old school. It's more like Edgar Allan Poe type horror. Like there's ghosts, there's like they can tell that something has happened in the past that's coming back to haunt people. There are dead bodies, but you don't see a lot of the dead bodies, not necessarily. Yeah, but it's done in a great way. It's sort of like this old part of Hollywood that hasn't come out in a long time. It's the same way of like Spielberg doing like an old serial in like the form of Indiana Jones, but this is now Del Toro doing gothic horror. That's basically the best way I can explain it.
Now, someone told me that this was another reviewer that I watched where he thought that the movie was okay, that if you take the ghosts out of the film, it wouldn't make a difference. Do you agree to that? Why or why not?
I think the ghosts are very...
are they a crucial part?
I would say they're very important because the ghosts in the story move everything along, or they move the main character to find out the secrets of Crimson Peak.
Speaking of which, how are the performances?
Performances are very good. I mean, I can't really say anything bad. Jessica Chastain, Tom Hiddleston. I know the main actress, Mia. I can never pronounce her last name. The girl who played the girl who played Alice in Alice. Yeah.
And Charlie Hunnam's in it.
Yes, Charlie Hunnam is also in it too. He has a much smaller part, but he is in it. But they're all very well done. It's a very well done old gothic horror type movie that you don't see anymore. And I wish it had done a lot better than it had. But that happens a lot with Del Toro's movies. Even the Hellboy movies and Pacific Rim, which were great movies, haven't got the huge box office that he kind of deserves.
Then again, those movies are so much different than
than Crimson Peak, yes, but
his regular type of artsy type of a movie.
Yeah,
and you can't compare Pan's Labyrinth and Pacific Rim.
No.
They're so different.
I'm just saying, for me, Pan's Labyrinth is like his creme de la creme. I find that like one of his best movies. I'm saying on that level, I don't say it's at Pan's Labyrinth level, but at the same time, it's still a very well made movie.
And now we're still waiting on Hellboy 3 for that matter.
Yeah, Crimson Peak would have been in my was my original top 10. This is me going into my movies that I liked a lot this year. So anyway, Crimson Peak is my number 8. What is your number 7?
Okay, so my number 7, I feel like this movie should have been a lot higher, but I saw 6 other films that I liked more, and that is, for my number 7 choice, Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes!
Mad Max, very good. Mad Max.
It's really hard to hate this movie because
there are nitpicks.
Nitpicks, but it's good.
Amazing, fucking phenomenal movie, but there are little nitpicks.
Correct. And this was one of those films that could have gone wrong so many ways, but it didn't, and it was directed by someone that puts other action directors to shame. This was, again, it was a surprise, but I didn't realize on how much of a surprise it was.
Yeah.
I'm a guy who appreciates the hell out of practical effects more than CG.
Yeah.
Yes,
anything.
and I feel like between Mad Max and the new Star Wars, I'm hoping that like directors and producers will realize that there's so much more
that they can do
effects than fucking CGI. CGI can help, but it shouldn't be the main focus.
Yeah, the movie is pretty much 85% practical. I mean, like there's
and
stuff
it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, and
great.
The performances.
And you can
really
always
good.
tell when it's not because like you see like a car flip over stupid, and you're just like, oh well, like. All right, that's stupid.
It's a real car. Those are people.
No, there's some of them where you can look at it and be like, well, that's stupid.
Well, like the tornado, the lightning tornado.
The flaming tornadoes obviously CGI.
I'm thinking of one where there's a car driving and like a pit of spikes happens and the car goes like whoop, and like flips over like Mario Kart style.
Yeah,
and like ejects the guy out of it, and you're just like, really?
It's pretty much Mario Kart meets Twisted Metal.
Yeah, but
Twisted Metal, I love that game.
Yeah.
The main thing I want to say, because again, Mad Max is on my list too, but it's a lot higher.
It's like number 2 or number 1 on like everybody's list. It's like in their top.
The main thing too is people were surprised with this movie because there hasn't been a Mad Max movie in over 30 years. 2, whenever someone tries to reboot a series, it usually doesn't go very well. Usually flops. When I heard about Mad Max coming back, I said, "Oh, that's nice. It's probably not going to be
then again, there's
great."
no Tina Turner, so.
And then we saw the trailer to it, and I was like, "Oh, holy shit!"
But George Miller came back to do this. He came back in top form. He pretty much just blew every action director of the last decade or more out of their seats. He just said, "Yeah, this is how you do it."
The one thing that I will say that I don't like about it is that there's a lot of loose ends. There's a lot of kind of plot holes, which you can easily look over and it's still a fucking amazing movie, but when you actually, like, examine it, you're actually just like, wait a second, like, there's a couple things where you're just like, but then again,
It is a lot deeper.
general movie populace will look at it and be like, this is fucking amazing, this is great, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, but then, like, when you actually sit down and be like, under a microscope, I'm saying like a microscope because it's like little tiny details that you really gotta look into. But like, then you start being like, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. This right here, like, they go back the same way that they came, and it's
a movie
it's so much
from
easier.
Point A to point B.
It's like when they go from point A to point B, but then when they go from point B to point A, it's like half as much time and not as difficult. And the gorge they destroyed, they're able to go right through again. And it's like, wait a second, I thought they destroyed that gorge. And you when you start to like like what I was saying, like nitpicking. When you start nitpicking about it, you're just like, but it's still a very enjoyable action thrill ride.
Yeah. All right. I want to save it because I have it up on my list too, but it's a bit higher, so we can continue the conversation. Again, we need to
say, like, with the performances. Yeah, Tom Hardy, I think, is worthy of a
Performances,
Mad Max name.
acting wise.
yeah, it's great.
Charlize Theron, is one of the best action.
Was
heroes
she born
ever.
with the name Furiosa?
I don't know.
But
okay.
I don't know.
All right. Again,
her old clan calls her Furiosa.
I was just going to say one more thing.
Again, I'm just all right. So we can save
the
it.
best part of the movie. Nicholas Hoult as Nux.
Yeah.
I thought he was the best part of the entire film. He looked completely unrecognizable, and I thought he stole the show.
Thank you. I now have nothing to talk about when I get to number 4. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
yes,
so much.
Do. That whole entire
all right, enough!
The scene that, like, everybody wanted to see.
Stop talking!
Where Max goes, the guy with the fucking guns, and you don't even see the entire fight scene.
Oh,
and then he comes
Stop talking!
His movies on the list.
I have to talk about it later. Shut up. God damn it.
What's your number 7?
Jesus Christ. Number 7, Steve Jobs. Not a lot of people saw this movie. I feel bad about it, to be honest, because I think, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm almost like 95% sure that the Ashton Kutcher Steve Jobs movie.
It's not a good movie.
Oh, no, that's a terrible movie. But that movie made more money than this one, this one had Danny Boyle directing it and had Aaron Sorkin writing it and had Michael Fassbender as the title role of Steve Jobs. Yeah, it would have probably been much more. Yeah, now Kate Winslet has got a lot of attention from this movie too, but overall, this was a very well-made movie because honestly, and this is the thing, when you see biopic films, you expect it to follow like a certain way and how it goes. This movie decided, we're going to take the 3 biggest important moments of Steve Jobs' life, technology-wise, and then use it to reflect on his whole life overall, and then just sort of intercut in between all of it as it goes along. Right. And that's nearly never been done before to that degree and that certain way of a biopic. And I really liked it. I liked the way that they approached that, and I liked the way of just how it was done. I just thought it was just really cool. And Danny Boyle was also both very. Danny Boyle is a very good director, but he's very much more atmosphere type director. He can do characters very well, but you can watch a lot of his films. He loves the atmosphere. He loves, even showing simple mundane things being sort of like crazy, like even like a train ride or something like that, or in Train Spotting when Ewan McGregor has to get a thing out of the toilet and he just does toilet dumpster diving. Basically, it's ridiculous, but. That's his style. This was very reserved, but at the same time, I was never bored 1 minute throughout this entire film, and I really enjoyed it. So, did any of you guys see Steve Jobs?
I have not seen it, but I really wanted to, and I feel bad for it because I'm a huge Michael Fassbender fan.
Yeah.
Now, how is he?
Michael Fassbender's great. He's definitely different. I saw another Steve Jobs movie, not Ashton Kutcher, but the TV film Pirates of Silicon Valley, to get an idea of more of Steve Jobs' history. And they go,
I, Steve.
I, Steve?
It's a film online. It's like a parody of Steve Jobs where Justin Wong plays Steve Jobs.
Oh, interesting.
Oh my god, it's one of the funniest things that I've seen, and it can be actually considered a real film.
It's better than Naked Gun?
Yes.
All right. Well, either way, as this goes, as far as Steve Jobs goes, I thought it was well done. I love the fact that the movie again doesn't put Steve Jobs in the most positive light. They make sure to make that very evident. But at the same time, they make sure to point out the fact that what he is, first and foremost, is a marketing genius. That's really what he is. He didn't really think technology. He thought more of just what it was going to do for us later, but more of how to sell it to the people. That was his gift. And I like the fact that they accentuate that but showed where he fell short as a human being. And, I mean, overall, it was a good movie. I liked it.
Where's my Iron Man suit?
Yeah, we never got the Iron Man suit. Unfortunately, he's not
One
Tony
of the
Stark.
things
It's
that-
like, Ron Man. Like,
What I
Like
heard about
iPhone.
this movie, what
I got
makes it so great is that it's not like any other biopic because a biopic is always supposed to answer 5 questions: who, what, when, where, and how. From what I heard, this movie asks the question why.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, all it really
Which
does...
A lot of biopics don't.
Yeah, I mean, well, what I like about it is that it got all good performances. Even Seth Rogen as the Woz, he's great. It's
The
just,
first time where Seth Rogen doesn't play Seth Rogen.
well, no, Seth Rogen has done better work, but
he's
he was very good in this movie, is what I'm trying to say.
come on. No, in his self-written stuff, he is Seth Rogen. In other stuff where he's cast in, he is not.
Okay.
Okay.
Think about it for a
Steve
second.
Jobs, I think, is the prime example.
No,
of
but
that.
like all the movies that he's playing Seth Rogen is stuff that he's pretty much written and produced himself.
All right. Okay. Let's change wheels here. Dan, what was your number 7 pick?
I just said my number 7 pick, which was Mad Max. My number 6 pick.
Oh, sorry. Number 6.
My number 6 pick is Avengers: Age of Ultron.
All right. Well, we can
And
stop. We can.
I got no strings to hold me down.
No.
Oh, back in. Well, but I mean, you
Now-
heard you heard what I talked about. Is there
Yeah.
anything that you wanted to add as far as like
yeah,
what
well,
you felt?
This is an unpopular opinion here, and this is just my opinion going out. But personally, Age of Ultron is my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Yes, and I will explain why.
Okay.
Because
I'm waiting for it.
all the other Phase 2 Marvel movies, they are
Are you just talking Phase 2? You said
Or
all. You said
yes.
all Marvel.
yes, because at that time, Avengers was my favorite one.
Yeah.
Now, after when that came out, we had the Phase 2 Marvel movies, and let's be honest, those movies are not superhero movies. They are genre movies with superheroes in them. Iron Man 3 is a technological thriller. Thor: The Dark World is a fantasy epic. Winter Soldier is a political thriller / spy espionage. Guardians of the Galaxy is a space
Sci-fi,
opera.
yeah.
Is a space opera, and Ant-Man is a heist film. Age of Ultron is sort of an invasion film, but it is also exactly what it promised and delivered on being a superhero movie, and it did what it was supposed to do.
The only thing it was missing was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Sure, let's go with that.
Oh,
But,
come on, Skynet. Come on,
yeah.
you know the joke.
Ultron is pretty much Skynet, and Vision is essentially what Siri would be like if it was a superhero. Now, the reason also was because
My
it
Siri
had-
calls me Master. Either that or Doctor. I don't know. I switch back and forth.
the reason why I love this one so much was because, like, almost every frame you can take of this movie, you can make it like it would look like any kind of comic book frame. Almost every single frame in this movie, and it balanced the equivalent of being a goofy comic book movie, or being a darker film. Like, it balanced being in the middle. It didn't top it. And I will say, I'm gonna be honest with you. The Avengers get a lot more screen time. I felt like with the first one, it was like, I don't trust this person, or I don't trust this person. When I saw this one, I felt like they were more of a family, and they had better chemistry.
They're
than
very,
they
very
had
buddy
before.
buddy.
Yes,
Yeah.
which I feel
They
like is
definitely
good.
try to beat into your brain with the whole.
Well, that's
the,
part
the,
of
the
Joss
opening,
Whedon.
the opening sequence when they're fighting each other, and it's all like, really, language, nobody's gonna. They're joking while they're in life and death situation. They're
Which is
still
another
joking
thing
about
what
it,
I wanted to bring
and
up.
then they go and have a
because
big party.
You have to see the sense of humor in it, because if you're just trying taking it in seriously, where's the fun in that? And
Right.
also, we have the guy who directed it also created Buffy. We also have a bunch of new characters.
And now he's never gonna do another
Marvel film.
Marvel movie ever again because he said it broke him as a director.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Twitter.
No, that's not
That-
just Twitter.
that was Marvel
That's
first, yeah.
Marvel. The Marvel people are the people who broke him because they were saying oh, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do this, we can't do this. They're the ones who broke him. It's not the fans.
Well, the guy
It's-
The movie had many restrictions and had many guidelines going in before he even started
because
doing the film.
Well, also one of the things I love the new characters in it. I love Quicksilver. I love Scarlet Witch. But the one character, Vision. Vision is my new favorite Marvel Cinematic
I was calling
character.
that before, saying Vision was going to be the
Yeah.
new Groot.
Yeah, he's the best.
Vision was
Everybody
character in
loved
general.
Groot out of
Guardians.
I never thought
Vision
I'd
was
say
gonna be
that,
the
you
new
know,
Groot,
Paul
like-
Bettany would ever steal the show in a movie. Like, I was worried that he was going to
Oh,
be...
you know, once he lifted up Mjolnir, once he
Yeah.
ended Thor Mjolnir, you were just like, oh shit, that guy's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like...
Everybody in the theater was just like, like
No,
But
I was more like...
is the elevator worthy as well?
It's
the
like,
elevator,
or
it is
just-
worthy.
it's like,
All right.
But if you put the hammer in an elevator, so it goes up, elevator's up. Like, this... It's just small. I like that kind of small talk. I mean, my
No,
only
that
gripe
whole
with...
scene in the beginning is all leading up to it's leading up to being like, oh, all right, we got to be able to trust this guy. Everybody's not trusting, and then oh, here's Mjolnir.
Okay,
I like
we
him. I
trust
like
that.
him. He's good. He's great. Like,
It's like, yeah, I'm following that guy into it. And I'm gonna be honest, I thought Ultron was a way better villain than Loki. I thought he... Because
I gotta disagree
every
with you on that.
scene that Loki
It
tries to
depends.
fight, he gets his ass handed to him.
it depends. We've seen Loki in like 4 different movies now.
Yeah.
It depends on which version of Loki you're going with.
Just Loki in general.
Ah,
Well, we've seen Loki in 3 movies.
Loki's like one of the only now, not counting the television universe, because again you got Kingpin and Purple Man. Loki's the only competent movie Marvel villain that we have. All the other villains.
I want to say they're apples and oranges because
Yeah.
Loki is not looking to kill everybody. Loki is not looking.
He just wants to
like
rule.
genocide.
Yeah, he just wants
He-
to rule. I'm gonna...
Loki. Loki is going after what he thinks is his birthright. He is going after what he thinks he deserves. He's going after what he wants.
That's the difference.
No matter
between-
who the fuck is in his way, Loki is going for what he wants.
That's the difference between
Ultron,
Loki and...
Ultron thinks that the human race is like a plague, and to better advance the Earth and technology, he wants to wipe out the human race to make robots like the dominant race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's totally different. It's totally different. Whereas, as villains are concerned, I have trouble comparing them because they have totally different goals in mind.
And
I feel
motives, yeah.
Loki would rather enslave humanity and rule over them to show them how weak they are, whereas Ultron wants to
wipe them out.
eradicate them because they're useless.
That's why again, you proved my point, where a lot of villains were like, I'm gonna rule the world and enslave humanity. Ultron's more like, I'm gonna fucking destroy you
Yes,
from
but
the
to
inside.
say
And
one
just-
is better than the other,
It's like,
it's hard because they have different goals in mind.
he just makes it seem like there's no effort in front of him, and that, I will say, he's the
The one
funniest
thing,
villain.
he,
And he has the two
Obviously,
best lines.
I
which
love him
are-
because of who voiced him, and he's fucking
Oh,
great.
there, no one else could have played
Yeah.
him. James Spader is
Fucking
flawless.
fantastic.
But what
The
I
only
was
thing I thought was hilarious and kind of comical, which I don't know if they were just rushing because they don't want to use Ultron again, because Ultron.
Oh, he's coming back.
No, Ultron keeps remaking himself and everything, but in the same movie, he rips himself apart and keeps creating his own body like 3 or 4 different times. He keeps destroying himself to rebuild himself, and was like, "Are you trying to rush through it?" It's like,
Well, kind of. 'cause
Well, I
also-
mean, but he always does it on the comics too. He always
yes,
gets
but
new
he
body.
does that in the comic books after he's beaten. He rebuilds himself.
Okay.
because
he's
he
beaten
realizes that
And
there's
he
a more
rebuilds
power-
himself to be better. Whereas I feel like they're rushing it in the movie to be like, he's just gonna destroy himself and rebuild himself, destroy himself and rebuild himself, destroy himself and instead of prolonging it, being like,
He gets destroyed once, and then the next movie.
like
Yeah.
they destroy him, and then a couple movies from now he can come back with a new body.
I will say,
Instead, they're just like, oh, let's just do it a bunch of times in the same movie and get rid of it.
Instead of language, I would say probably he has the 2 best lines in it, which are number 1.
I got no strings to
No.
hold me down.
No, it's the most versatile substance on the planet, and they used it to build a frisbee. And the second one is,
I'd build a frisbee out of it.
or the second, my favorite line is, keep your friends rich and your enemies rich, and wait to find out which is which. And it has the best burn combat, where him and Vision are just talking, just being like, yeah, but the thing about being human isn't, it's like, yeah, it's a privilege to be among them. You're
unbearably naive. Well, I was born yesterday.
Right?
I was like,
yeah.
Boom,
That was
that
a
is
great.
the ultimate burn.
That I like that line.
It was a good line. It was a good line.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's-
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
let's go on
interrupting
to,
you
hold
guys'
on,
conversation too much.
yeah, no, I
That's
mean,
my choice on Avengers: Age of Ultron is my number 6 pick.
okay, again, I still think it was a good Marvel movie, not my favorite, still Winter Soldier, but, a solid filler film.
I would say Winter Soldier is my third favorite.
The best superhero filler movie of all time. I will say that's what Age of Ultron is to me.
Good fella.
Spider-Man 2. Not Amazing Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2.
The original Spider-Man 2. Okay, so number 6 for me, we can go back on this and connect with what you said earlier. Kingsman for me, again, it would have been lower, but I didn't have as many movies this year to go with. So Kingsman for me right now is number 6. But Kingsman for me is it's a good blockbuster film. It was just I guess it's in my list for one because it came out in February, which next to January is like the second least like profitable for a lot of and now that's
It's
changing.
hard to come out with a movie in January.
Yeah, and it's
I
hard.
think that's why he made it in February because a lot of great films aren't coming. But this
You know what?
year's gonna prove it
Well-
because Deadpool is coming out.
Yeah,
and
Deadpool. But
God,
I'm saying what I'm
the
saying
best
is.
romantic comedy ever.
But what I'm saying is, though, is that usually you get the romantic comedies, and now Kingsman changed that. Now you have Deadpool coming out this year. What I'm saying is, we got a cool R-rated comic book movie made because it was a comic book done by Mark Miller, and him and Matthew Vaughn are like good friends. They co-wrote the comic, and then they made the movie basically. I like the comic a lot. I thought the comic was cool, so I knew some of the story going in.
I just have one thing to say.
All right, say your thing.
One thing. Chick with the steel legs.
Yeah.
Bad chick.
Oh, shoot.
How is she so silent with metal feet?
Mm-hmm.
because comic books.
Yeah. All the scenes that she's in there, she's a fucking ninja.
All right.
How can you be fucking silent on
The thing is,
that's all I'm
no.
She's got so much to say.
No. There's so many. I mean, there's a lot of inconsistencies as far as like what makes sense in a real world setting. But from the get go, we know right away the film is not. It's not the real world. It's a James Bond
True.
movie. But okay, so I'll give you an example.
It's like what I said.
No,
Imagine if
no,
Quentin
just-
Tarantino directed a Bond.
Just be quiet for a second. Yeah, no, I agree with you, but just be quiet for a second. Just okay. So have you seen the good?
Just shut up right now. I need to-
No. You guys talking all goddamn day. I just wanted to just get this example out. Have you seen the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember the end scene where Tuco is running in this giant, wide open graveyard to find the treasure?
I understand movie logic.
No. I'm just saying.
I'm John Straw.
I'm just saying that there's some movies you have to bend the rules of reality. I'm not saying every movie can get away with it, but but yeah, in the good, the bad, and the ugly, he finds this treasure, and then eventually Eastwood finds him, and then the bad guy sneaks up on them because he comes into frame. But in reality, if you really think
You
about
would've
it,
heard him coming.
yeah, or you would have seen him like a mile away
Yeah.
in a giant open graveyard. But in the movie, it makes sense because they're seeing him for the first time because we're seeing him for the first time. Yes, in reality, her metal feet would probably make a lot of noise. Who knows? Maybe she got dampeners from the rich guy. It doesn't matter.
She sneaks up on so many people in the movie, and you're just
Yeah.
like, all right, you got like rubber stoppers on the bottom of your metal feet.
But I mean, if we're going by that logic, wouldn't Oddjob's hat like not fly as well as he makes it out to be? Wouldn't that thing like go down?
Maybe he's just that good.
He might just be that good.
It's like a frisbee.
Or how Jaws didn't bite his tongue off by accident.
Yeah, like
Maybe
there's a
he
lot of.
did. And it
Then how-
grew back.
Then how did he speak?
He does it, but he does.
No, he does speak, I think.
In what, Moonraker?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen those movies.
Yeah. Well, okay. The point being is that I went into this movie with certain expectations. I knew not to accept it as a
All
real
I would
world
say is,
film.
no matter what you guys say, good, bad, indifferent, the fucking church scene,
It is amazing.
Best scene in the
Fucking
entire film.
awesome.
Yeah.
So fucking good. Especially to,
So hail Satan and have a lovely day.
no,
I laughed so hard.
why am I drawing a blank on the song?
Leonard Skinner.
Freebird.
Freebird. Yeah.
Freebird. So good.
Very good.
So good. And like, it's such a great action sequence where it's just like non-stop. And it's just like, the whole thing, you're just watching, just being like, oh my god, like, he's fucking fist fighting, grabbing shit from other people, fucking knocking people out, shoot you, fucking stab you in the face, like, boom.
See,
It's a great,
I'm glad you
It's-
brought up the
it's choreographed Whereas a lot of fight scenes, The Matrix had great fight choreography, but you didn't give a fucking shit because Neo is fucking a god, so you don't fucking care because you know he's not gonna lose. Whereas this one, you're just like, holy shit, like,
He could die.
he could actually be beaten. And you know that he's like under like a trance, so you don't know what's going to happen because it's not him. Like,
Yeah.
that fight scene was awesome.
It was a great scene.
I think
And
one
that's
of the better parts that I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about it. The reason why I thought that was probably my favorite scene in the entire film was because I feel like shaky cam nowadays has become a little annoying. The
Way
fact that
annoying.
The majority of that scene is in one shot.
Right?
Makes it a lot more interesting.
Right?
definitely. I mean, it's
Can you imagine the rehearsals they had to do to fine tune that fight scene?
Oh
It must
yeah.
have been hell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it paid off.
Yeah,
It did.
That scene is
exactly.
fucking awesome.
But like I'm saying, like that's why I like the movie. I mean, not just that one scene, but I like the fact that it's a rated R movie. There's blood and guts. They pretty much they swear, they curse, they do whatever they want to. It just entertained the hell out of me. I like that, and the fact that I liked that I got it in February of all months too, and now that's changing the dynamic. And now even in February we're getting freaking Deadpool. Like I think
And like in March, we're getting a
Batman versus Superman. Yeah, and for me, like that's why I like the film. I mean, not just on what it did with movies in general, but it's just an entertaining film. It knows exactly what it is. It's not trying to pretend to really be too much else. It's just entertaining, and I liked it on that level. And for me, I'm a blockbuster kid. I love a good blockbuster, and it was good popcorn entertainment. And yeah,